Anton Vollenhoven, and this is a playthrough video for GEMMON and the Ultra Championship. As you can see, this video is relatively long. If you just want to have a quick overview of what the game is about, then click on the white box in the top right corner. If it isn't showing up, the link is in the description, or click on my channel, it should be easy to find. In this video, we'll be going through the main phases of the game once, until the first challenger. The full game as you go through this process a total of 3 times, but one should give you a good idea of how the game is played. I'm voicing this over, so those silly hands on screen there, that's past me. Don't tell him this, but past me, he's pretty stupid. So I'll be calling him out on making dumb strategic decisions over the course of the game. But that's fine, this way you can learn how to play the game and how not to play the game at the same time. Before we start, a few disclaimers. First, I'm playing on a super cool custom printed play mat. That's not included in the game. Wouldn't fit in the box. I'm sorry. You don't need this thing to play though, it just looks cool. And second, what you're seeing here is a prototype. Not a, oh it's almost done, just a few more tweaks, pre-production prototype, but I stuck a piece of photo paper into a sleeve prototype. The final thing will be printed by the game crafter, not by my clumsy hands, so it'll definitely look better than what you're seeing here, promise. I'll be entering this game to the Game Crafters VHS contest, so that meant a deadline of 3 months. I've been working on this game non-stop ever since the contest was announced. 3 months is really not enough time to playtest and draw art for a board game. So the final game wouldn't be here on time, sadly. VHS contest means that this game had to fit in that little VHS box you just saw. A lot of the other contestants have been spoofing 80s movies, but I wasn't born yet back then. I did experience the early 2000s though. We had I probably shouldn't mention anything by name, but you know what multimedia franchise I'm talking about. We had the 3 first movies on VHS, and from the 4th onward they were on DVD, I believe. So yeah, this game is a homage to that. So, enough drill, setup. Get the GEMMON cards, take Balagon apart, that's that card over there, as well as all of its evolutions. All those cards have a different back than the rest, so they should be easy to spot. Then shuffle the rest of the cards into the GEMMON deck. Take the buff and the debuff cards and place them aside, you'll need them later. Take the move cards and shuffle them. Take the event cards and shuffle them. Take the challenger cards and shuffle them. Then draw 2 challengers and remember the order in which way you drew them. And return the other 2 back to the box. Looks like we'll be fighting against Amy, the metal trainer, and then Jasper, the fire trainer. Then take all of the challenger monster cards. Again, these are prototype cards. They'll be printed on the Game Crafters jumbo cards, roughly 14 by 9. So the size is representative. Order the challenger monster cards by type. Give your first challenger, Amy in our case, 2 of her GEMMON without looking at them. And Jasper gets all 4 in random order. You should have 10 cards left, and those make the champions deck, together with a special 17th card with a different back. The champion will be using 4 random cards from his deck, and then finish with his final 5th GEMMON, Ultagon. 5 GEMMON is 1 more than we get to have in our team. That's because the champion is a filthy cheater. I mean, his bond with his GEMMON is so strong he can train 5 at the same time. Yeah, that's it. You can leave those decks further away from the play area if you want. We won't be needing them for a while. It's just that I'm not trusting them on our dining table. So get the dice ready. You should have 10 black ones, 1 red one, and 4 white dice. They also should be the same size, so please ignore what I managed to scramble together by plundering the games I have at home. And finally, you have an envelope. Leave it closed. There are unlockable cards in that thing. At the end of every game, you can look in the back of your rulebook to see if you unlocked any. Last but not least, draw 2 moves for Balagon. Looks like we got Flowing Punch and Pump Up. That's nice and horrible at the same time. I'll get into why later, but But let's go over the rules first. You might have noticed that the lighting just became a little weird. I was hoping I could finish this recording before sunset, but it looks like I was a little bit too eager. Winter has been really sneaking up on me. I'm trying to compensate for it by editing the video to be a little brighter, but yeah. So, the game starts in the travel phase. The final goal of the game is to defeat the champion, but to do that we're going to need a bigger team than just Balagon over here with his flowing punch. At the start of the travel phase, we'll draw 3 GEMMON cards, don't look at them, and then we'll reveal them one by one. And whenever we reveal one, we draw a move for it as well, and then we have a choice, fight or flee. If we fight it, we can add the GEMMON to our team, or teach his move to one of our own GEMMON. If we flee, we get to reveal another card. We only get to battle against 2 of the 3 GEMMON we drew, and who knows what's next. So sometimes the decision to add something to your team is very difficult. Sometimes, like now, it's not. Every GEMMON has a type, balance, fire, metal, nature or water, and those types work together in this rock, paper, scissors formation. The picture you're seeing right now is from a player 8 card included in the game. The 3 Knight we just drew is a nature type, and the next challenger we're up against specializes in metal GEMMON. So 3 Knight is going to be at a disadvantage there. What's more, every GEMMON has a specialty by its stats or ability. 3 Knight's ability allows it to apply debuffs of the enemies it defeats onto the next GEMMON it fights. But right now we have no moves that can inflict debuffs. So I could make a gamble and hope I'll draw one later. I will be drawing a lot of moves over the course of the game, so that will definitely happen at some point. But for now, let's focus on getting past Amy here. So 3 Knight would be an investment in the future, and our sorted team can't really afford that right now. So 3 Knight gets returned to the bottom of the deck, it's moved to, and then we draw Kindlefisher. That's good, fire is strong against metal, so we can use it as a little bird for sure. Its special ability allows it to turn its move into fire type moves, regardless of their actual type, so that's doubly handy. But yeah, let's fight. So when a GEMMON battle starts, give each GEMMON HP tracker dice to keep track of their HP. We then compare the speed of the 2 GEMMON to see who goes first. If it's a tie, in our case, the player goes first. Also make sure to read the ability of all the participating GEMMON. For example, our Balagon has only 3 HP. But its ability is going to give it 3 additional HP for every empty spot in our team. So 3 empty spots times 3 is 9, so that's a nice 12 HP for me as well. You might have noticed that the cards I'm showing on the screen don't say the same thing as the cards in the video, again prototype. The cards on the screen are the most recent ones. Alright, so to use a move, look at the amount of dice printed on that move and take them. Moves are either physical or magical, in which case we can roll extra dice based on the GEMMON's strength or magic. In our case that's both 1. So I'm using Flowing Punch here, which allows me to roll 4 dice, and it's a physical move. So I get to add my strength on top of it for a total of 5 dice. We then deal 1 damage for every dice that rolls a 4 or higher, so that's 2 in this case. But, like you might remember, some types are strong against others, so I just used the water move against a fire type GEMMON, which means that we get to reroll all the dice that we missed. That goes the other way around as well. If we try to use a metal move against a fire type GEMMON, we'll have to reroll all the dice above a 4 instead. So we reroll, and here we score another 2 hits for a total of 4 damage. That's nice. A very important rule, we're not allowed to use the same move twice in a row. So I just used Flowing Punch, and now I flip it around to remind myself that I can't use it next turn. And now it's Kindlefisher's turn. While GEMMON aren't very smart, they'll just use the same 2 moves over again. They start with a signature move printed on the card, and then the move we drew for it. And then their signature move again. Swift Surprise has 2 dice, it's a magical move, and Kindlefisher has 2 magic, so that's 4 total. 2 hit, that's 2 damage. Now it's my turn again. I already used Flowing Punch, So even though I'd like to use it again, I now use Balagon's signature move, Bala Blast. In addition to rolling extra dice based on the strength or magic of your Gemmon, you also get to roll 1 extra dice if you use a move with the same type as your Gemmon. So here I use Bala Blast. It's a balance type move with Balagon, a balance type Gemmon, so I get 1 extra same type attack bonus die, or step die for short. This die is the same as any other. It's a red, so it's easier to get the dice pulled together. 2 hits, Flowing Punch becomes available again. I'm not allowed to use Bala Blast twice in a row either, but if it isn't the first turn and none of the moves are flipped over, that means I use my signature move last, so there's no need to flip the whole card over. Kindlefisher uses Drain buff and misses. The move would have been really scary if I had a buff to Drain, but I don't. Poor bird can't even do tactics. Don't worry, I'll help you. Join my team. Flowing Punch again for me. Swift Surprise from Kindlefisher. Alright, so now Kindlefisher has been brought to 2 HP, we can try and catch it. Instead of using a move on our turn, we can roll a single die. If we roll equal to or higher than 2, the current HP of Kindlefisher, we can catch it. If we roll lower, then our turn is over. Kindlefisher will get to attack again, and then we need to try again next turn. But we don't have to, 2 is exactly enough. So we add Kindlefisher and its move to our team, defeat it. We'll get to use it before we meet the next challenger, but not during this phase. Then it's time for the final Gemmon, and it is Marumon with a steel blade. And this is the problem with wild Gemmon. That's a nice combination of moves that I want in my team, but it also means that that wild Gemmon is going to use that nice combination of moves against me. Nothing to lose by fighting him though. There's no penalty for having your team wiped in the trial phase. I mean, other than missing out on that Marumon, so we should try our best. We don't get to heal in between fights, only at the end of the phase. So there's a real chance we won't be able to catch this one. Especially because Marumon is a lot faster than us. It starts with rolling Rampage, rolling 5 dice, and rolling over us. 3 hits. So there's this one thing that I couldn't cover during the previous fight, which is armor. Some Gemmons have little shields next to their HP, blocking damage from physical moves. Physical moves are generally stronger than magical moves, but have to deal with armor. So Marumon just dealt 3 damage to us with the physical move, but Balagon has 1 armor, so that reduces the damage to just 2. As you can see, Marumon has only 5 HP, with 2 armor, so trying to defeat it with physical moves is going to be difficult. But we can hit it hard with a magic move, like our Bala Blast. Only 2 hits, sadly. Then Marumon has a go, hitting us with the steel blade. We get lucky here and survive the onslaught. We probably won't be so lucky next turn though, and Flowing Punch isn't going to make a dent in Marumon's armor. So I'm going to try a gamble and catch it. No! Okay, we survive. One more try. Yes, okay, that's going to make the tournament phase a lot easier. Okay, so now for the fun part. During the train phase, we get to draw a single event card and 3 move cards to teach to our Gemmon. So here's where the customization of our team starts properly. Event cards do all kinds of things, all beneficial. We just drew a guest lecturer, which gives us more options while teaching moves. With the one we drew, the move tutor, quite literally, as we get to draw a 4th move to teach. We also could have gotten an item that we could use in battle, or a random encounter. Everything is possible. In that sense, we just got the most boring card from the deck, but also one of the more useful ones. This is also the phase where we can start thinking about evolving Balagon, replacing it with a better version of itself. Like I mentioned before, Balagon gets extra HP based on how empty your team is, and it's not so empty anymore. To evolve Balagon, we need to have 2 moves of the same type, balance type not included. So I was kind of hoping to draw a water move, but alas, looks like we have to wait another round. I could evolve Balagon to Kadagon, the fire type, by teaching it those 2 fire moves, but other than that we already have a fire Gemmon, and we want to have a balanced team. Some moves are more useful on certain Gemmon than others. Now, Marumon's special ability allows it to gain 1 power up buff whenever it takes damage, increasing the damage of its moves. And the move that I just drew gets to double that bonus. So that sounds very nice. Except I totally forget that Balagon is pump up and could use that move way better. I told you I'd be calling myself out. Finally, I give Venom to Kindlefisher because I have no clue where else to put it. Kindlefisher is starting to look more like a nature GEMMON by the minute. And the next round I'd preferably teach it all kinds of different moves to take advantage of his ability. But yeah, that'll have to wait. Whoa, someone turned the sun back on. It's the dawn of a new day. It really became too dark to continue filming. This is the first time a game took an entire day to finish. Really. Normally games only last 30 to 60 minutes, promise. And now we move on to the tournament phase. So, time to defeat Amethyst Smith. It's a GEMMON, so all the trainers have gem-themed names. Clever, I know. And the first GEMMON that she sends in is Marumon. Meet Marumon. So the challengers have access to the same GEMMON as we do, so plenty of opportunity for those Lieutenant Search type encounters. Amy's Marumon has the same stats as us, but the moves are going to make all the difference. I'm hesitating on who to send out here. Marumon can get really scary when you give it enough time to ramp up without rolling a rampage. The smart move would be to send out Kindlefisher and burn that ball down, but Kindlefisher has no armor and Marumon is a strong physical attacker. And Marumon outspeeds us, so it's allowed to go first. And it's going to start out with a water move, which Kindlefisher doesn't like. So I chicken out and I use Balagon instead. Again, Marumon's much faster than this, just like last time. So Amy goes first, and unlike wild GEMMON, challengers will actually use strategies against this, the horror. Marumon grows stronger the longer it keeps rolling, but it's easily shut down by either hitting it with a powerful magical fire move, or by giving it a debuff of some sort. Its resistance is very low, so Amy solves the problem with a water move that gives Marumon a shield protecting it against debuffs. Challengers will always start with the move to which that white arrow is pointing towards. After that we rotate the card based on the arrows next to the move it used the previous turn. With Marumon, the flowchart is super simple. It starts out with water wheel and then it keeps spamming rolling rampage over and over again. That's the only move in the game that's allowed to do that. Challengers are bound to the same don't use the same move twice in a row rule as we are. Marumon is an exception, but I mean, it's also an exception for us, so if we decide to use it. All challenger cards will use more nuanced strategies, as you'll see in a bit. So Marumon was allowed to go first. Water Wheel did 3 damage, then we used Bella Blast, which also did 3 damage. Then it's Marumon's turn again. We followed that arrow next to Water Wheel and rotated to the next move. Rolling Rampage rolled 5 dice with 3 hits. So one gets blocked by our armor, so we actually survived that. We survived that. So yeah, we might actually win this matchup. I didn't expect that. I thought Balagon could weaken Marumon and I could sweep in with Kindlefisher to finish it. But yeah, we still have the flamethrower and we only need to hit 2 dice. You saw me emoting with my hands. I missed all 3 dice. But then I got a reroll because of the time advantage and then I hit all 3. So yeah, time for the next challenger, which is Overtoad. So like I said before, Marumon's flowchart was pretty simple. Overtoad uses a little bit more advanced tactics against this. So Marumon has already been introducing the concept of buffs and debuffs a little bit. Overtoad specializes in them. And some of these buffs and debuffs, they stack, like the 2 on the that Marumon used. You can stack those up to 2 times, like the buff shield and the power up that allowed him to roll extra dice. If you try to apply them a 3rd time, nothing would happen, unless you're Overtoad, in which case the opponent is going to take 1 damage. That's his special ability. So Overtoad is going to use the first 2 turns to apply buffs to itself, and then it's going to use its signature ability, Overclock, to reapply all of those buffs and debuffs onto itself. And then we're going to take a whole bunch of damage, so preferably we'd stop it before we can do that. So here I get incredibly lucky again. Overtoad starts out with Water Wheel, that's the same move as Marumon just before. And he only rolls 1 hit, which gets blocked by Balagon's 1 armor, so actually survived the hit. So I get to use Flowing Punch to deal some damage. Then Overtoad uses Pump Up, gaining 2 power-up buffs, readying itself for its big nuke the next turn. And then a Flamethrower from Balagon. Then Overtoad uses Overclock, which means that it's going to reapply the buff block, gaining an extra stack, and it's going to reapply those 2 stacks of power up, which means 2 damage to us. Balagon only has 1 HP left, so he gets taken out. But we have Kindlefisher. I wasn't really paying attention here, because Overtoad outspeeds us, which means that it's allowed to go first. And it was just ready to use Water Veil, a water type move, a physical water type move, against our Kindlefisher without armor. And and it has 2 stacks of power up, so it gets to roll a whole bunch of extra dice. And Water Veil is going to reapply that debuff block, which it can't gain any more stacks of, so we're going to also take 1 extra damage for that, so we take a very, very big hit right at the start. But we have a big hit for Overtoad as well. We have Drain Buff, which allows us to remove a buff 1 and then gain a whole lot of extra dice to roll if we do. Normally Overtoad doesn't really care about Drain Buff because it's a nature move. But we have no Kindlefisher, so we're allowed to turn it into a fire move, and then it suddenly becomes a very big threat. And as you can see, we roll exactly enough to defeat Overtoad. And that's it. That was Amethyst's last GEMMON, so we win. Well, not really. We win this 1 battle. If we wanted to continue in this game, then we'd have to go back to the travel phase and then draw 3 GEMMON again, and then draw an event card and 3 new moves to learn, and then we'd have to fight against Jasper, and then we have to repeat that whole thing again, and then finally fight against a champion with a better, more customized team than we have right now. Now, let's say we lost against Amy, then that wouldn't necessarily be the end of the game yet. Once per game, we're allowed to declare a rival. In which case we go, "You haven't seen the last of me yet," and then she will go something like, "Alright, whatever, smell you later." And then we can rotate the card and then modify the deck with the champions deck, so it becomes stronger. And then we put that aside, and then we just continue acting as if we had won the battle. And then just before we would fight the champion, we get to face off against our rival again. So instructions exactly how to do this are in the rulebook. So yeah, if we weren't so lucky, if Balagon didn't dodge all of those moves and we weren't able to catch Mauramon, we'd still have a lifeline available. So yeah, that's GEMMON the Ultra Championship. Smart person would plug his older board games here, but I think this video lasted long enough already. Anton van Hoven, and vote for me on the VHS contest. The older entries for the contests are looking strong. I need to win this championship, just like you need to win this one. Hopefully until next time.